Cool. So, hi, my name is Tom Heaton,
Yeah.
and I am the game director on Medan.
Yeah. And why do you like to scare people?
That's a fair question, and I have to admit it is fun to scare people. Yeah. Back at the studio, we're big horror fans. You know, we like a lot of horror movies. Increasingly, TV does a lot of very good horror. So we like all that stuff. We enjoy it. I love it. And you know what? Everyone likes to be scared, or a lot of people like to be scared, and we can provide that. It's a fun job. Yeah.
Yeah. Were you the one like at the campfire telling ghost stories when you were younger?
Yeah, sometimes, and that was the thing me and my brother had actually. We shared a bedroom. We would invent ghost stories and try and scare each other, and it worked. We were good at it.
Do you have like some of those stories being in one of your games?
Not yet, but you never know what's in your head. You know, but part of what we do to scare people is what's in your head is actually scarier than what's outside your head. You know, so when we create environments and put characters in those environments, and we make them dark and spooky, and we make audio that's kind of ambiguous, and that's because people imagine things that are worse than we can possibly make.
Yeah.
So that's cool. We let them do the work and then get all very tense, and then we can do the scare.
Yeah. Speaking about the tools to scare people, what's your like favorite? Is it sound or is it jump scare?
Oh, it's a combination.
Yeah.
It's everything working together. And if any one element isn't working, then the whole thing falls completely flat. So we have to we make a place that is naturally scary. You know, a place where you're uncomfortable, where you don't quite know what the rules are. So on Medan, it's this old freighter, this World War II era freighter. It's in the middle of the Pacific, so you're isolated. You can't get out. You're trapped, and that's not an environment most people are used to. You know, an abandoned, decaying ship. So that's the first thing. We work on the environment, and we've got a great team of artists and production designers who make this environment that is real, that feels alive, is full of detail. So that's one thing. And then you need to get the lighting right. You know, you need to make it light enough that you can see, but creepy with, you know, dark corners and things. You don't quite know what's around the next corner. You can't quite see clearly. Often you have a torch and you're looking around. And audio, yeah. So all the time there are noises going on, creaks from the ship or things moving around. All those things contribute, and we want to get the player into a heightened state, you know, kind of anxious state, and we keep them there for quite a long time, and their body changes, you know, they do kind of physiological changes, and then boom, we can do the scare, and it's very effective, very effective.
Yeah.
And then we have to let you kind of calm down.
That's a balance, right?
It is, yeah. You need it. Your body needs that. It's generated weird chemicals, you know. And it needs to kind of calm down, and then we build it up again. Yeah.
I remember seeing Alien for the first time, and I actually had my friend turn off the audio halfway, and I couldn't take it. Yeah. do you have your own like inspirations from the movies?
Sure. Yeah. So for this game, we looked at horror movies set around ghost ships. There's Ghost Ship actually, which is a great movie. It's kind of cheesy, but it's also really good. There's Triangle. There are other movies as well. One of the things we do is we subvert genres, you know, subgenres of horror. So we looked at other subgenres. In this one, there's also home invasion movies, you know, where people come into your house. It's a very scary thing. Yeah. And we look at those movies. We look for the tropes. We understand how those tropes work. One of the nice things about the sort of games we make is the players are quite educated in horror. They understand horror movies. They know the tropes as well. Yeah. So we can, you know, we can give you decisions, and that, you know, should we split up or should we stick together? As you know, you've watched a horror movie and you go, no, don't split up. That's crazy. Yeah. And we kind of give you that choice. What are you going to do? And then to make it harder, we actually give you a pretty good reason for splitting up. Maybe we'll get more stuff that way, and that will help us.
Yeah. Being an anthology, I guess you made it that way to have more opportunities to dive into different type of horror.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So we sat down and we counted all the various subgenres of horror. We got to something like 39. I think we're on 42
really?
now. You know, every time we find, oh, that's a new one. We haven't got that. We write it down on our list. So the anthology format. So Dark Pictures is it's a series of standalone games.
Yeah.
All horror, They're all cinematic. They're all in the supermassive house style with branching narratives and exploration and finding things and working out what the mystery is. So they all follow that kind of format, but each of them takes a different subgenre of horror, and that's a great opportunity for us. Yeah, it really allows us to dig into all that variety and all the richness that horror has.
Yeah. What's your favorite subgenre?
I have a very soft spot for slasher movies, actually. I've always liked them. From the original, I'm often asked what's my favourite horror movie. It's a difficult question because there's so many.
Yeah.
But I love the original Halloween, the John Carpenter Halloween, and and it kind of set up that whole slasher genre, and it's still very, very effective today.
So we can maybe see being hunted, being a genre.
Yeah, I mean it's a fun genre to play with. Man of Medan is kind of ghost ship, and that's a cool genre to work with. It's based in the sea. There's lots of myths and legends around the sea. Sailors. There's lots of sailors folklore, and it's very rich. That gives us things to work with, and things that people are already kind of familiar with, but maybe not completely familiar with, and that's good stuff for Fear that people already know is out there.
Yeah, as you said, you do a lot of cinematic games. How hard is it to? The line for Uncanny Valley is quite hard. How do you go around to?
It's really hard. It's very, very difficult. So again, it's about getting all disciplines have to contribute to this. We're using the Unreal Engine. That gives us a really great base for the graphics. I'm not tech enough to talk about that really, but it allows us to get these very realistic graphics, and then on top of that, we've got a very experienced team, artists and lighting artists and audio people and designers all working together. We look at movies for inspiration.
Yeah.
So we're looking to get movie-style lighting and movie-style cameras and get the camera working in the same way as you'd see it in a movie. And the key thing is the mocap and the performance. So Man of Medan stars Sean Ashmore. He's leading a really great cast. So we're using film, TV actors. We get a really great script written. We get all these guys in a studio. Performance capture nowadays, face and voice performance capture is extremely accurate. We put kind of cameras on these guys, and we kind of create a performance space where they can really act like as if they're on a movie set. They really get into their characters. We try and give them really rich and complex characters, but that being able to act off each other and react to each other gives us that's a key part of getting that movie look and feel. It means it's that the players get really engaged in the story. They can really believe these performances. It's so important.
Yeah. Talk about the decision to use a known actor.
Yep.
For some people, that takes them away from the immersion in games.
Yeah, maybe, but in general, we found it's worked really well for us. That people can identify. It's part of that whole getting the whole cinematic experience. You're very much not. I don't know. Some people, when they play, they role play the character. Some people play as themselves and make decisions that they give. But the other thing is that someone of Sean's caliber just brings great quality to the acting.
Yeah.
It's really important to us to have that quality of actor.
Yeah. Yeah. Cool.
Cool.
Can you give us some small tease about what we can expect from the other games?
I can't really go into too much detail, but so one thing is they're all standalone.
Yeah.
So every game in the series will have a new plot, will have a new narrative and settings, got new characters, a new cast. So you won't have had to play earlier games in the series. You can dive in at any point you want. There are some connecting threads between the games. One of them is this guy, the creator, a kind of old guy. He lives in this place called the Repository, which is like a huge library full of books. And he's the one that introduces the story, and he gives hints about what to do. Every so often you go and see him and he speaks to you directly, and he'll ask you if you want hints and things, and he'll drop subtle hints. So he's in all the games, and he's got a story arc of his own. We'll see him develop.
Yeah, cool. Thank you.
Cool.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
That's great. Thank you very much.
Thank you.